Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. In today's episode, we're gonna take out the transmission, package it up on a pallet, and get it ready to go. Ratwell says you need an 18 by 8 by 1 to sort of support your engine as it comes down. So I'm gonna make it out of some 2 by 4s. So mine's gonna be different slightly. That should be wide enough. I'm going for 18, 8 by 24 by 2. With some supports on the side to keep it on top of the jack. So, here we go. Let's do it. So there's the finished product. One engine block on top of the motorcycle jack. Should be able to get the engine down on top of that. All right, we're back again, this time with lights. Let's do the final steps, which is to take out the starter, which means disconnecting these electrical cables from the starter and then pulling the support bolt out. And there's one right there that we gotta get out, and there's one up on top that is, you can't see, but we'll try to get it out. And we got to disconnect this guy here that's on the back side of the firewall, and take off that fuel rail off the firewall, since that goes from the tank exit, which is just there above the starter essentially, around. So that's what's left for today. Now when you take the starter off, which I've actually never done, so here we go, it's important to know where the cables go. And on this particular model, somebody has already put in, I don't think that's supposed to be disconnected, but anyway, you put in a hot start relay, pretty sure. So these are the ones that are coming up from the front of the vehicle, and then you got this one that runs to the voltage regulator, and that one there. So I'm gonna go get some gloves on because I'm already messing up my hand. Focus! And we're gonna get to it. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna try to show you this. So I pulled the one nut that captures the wires here for the starter off. This is kind of a mess because of the hot start relay that's in this one. But this one runs up into the engine. This is the main power to the starter essentially. And then the hot start relay is mounted over here on the frame rail. And then there's two wires on the starter, other wires. One is this thin one that runs up and behind the asbestos up here. I'm not exactly sure where that one's going right this second. And the other one is this one, which comes out of the loom coming from the front of the vehicle. And these two are both, it's hard to get a good shot in there, and the light's not so great, but at least we got a light. So there's two push-on connectors here. One's a little one that goes on the top right of the starter, and one's a bigger one that runs from the wiring loom. It goes on the other connector on the starter. So that's all the starter wiring off. Now I got to do this bolt here, and there's another bolt that's harder to get to on supposedly in a blind hole up here on top that I can feel but you can't see. I believe the other side of that is in the engine compartment. But anyway, we'll find out. So the top bolt of that starter is this one behind the throttle body, essentially. It's a special D-shaped bolt, so you got to take this nut off, and then you push that D-shaped bolt out and get that done. So I'm going to do that next. This is supposed to be a 17, so we'll see if I can get that done. Alright, so this is the special D-shaped bolt that holds the starter in. I had a little bit of trouble getting this bad boy out because as you back the nut off, this backs out and then it can spin. So you got to kind of pull it forward while you're spinning the nut off. And also the threads on this could use some cleanup. Focus! And so the nut was getting stuck. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to the viewers, Aria. That's my daughter, Aria. She's here with me today at the garage. And then this then is the starter. So you got the starter solenoid, starter motor, see where the pinion engages, and you can see that she's got some oil on her. Probably the main seal on this one is leaking. That's my diagnosis based on where I'm seeing oil. So anyway, all that's going to get replaced. Next up, that fuel line I talked about, and then pulling the wires forward, and then we'll go from there. So we pulled the fuel line that's over on the side by the starter that I showed you before, and now I need to pull this fuel line. This is part of the metal fuel rail that goes through the firewall. There's a grommet there on the firewall that takes that through, and then this is the hose that goes to the fuel pump and fuel filter that are back there. This has a, I put this on, it has a sleeve on it to protect it from rubbing where it goes through the frame. If yours doesn't have that sleeve, you should get it because you don't want gas leaking from the fuel pump here as it goes to the fuel rail. That would be bad. Dump a lot of gas on the ground. So I'm going to take this guy out here and then we'll disconnect him. Alright, next up I pulled the engine seal. This is the seal that goes all the way around here. It's actually really important, so if you don't have it, put it in. Helps keep your engine cold and clean. Keeps the road dirt from coming up into your engine compartment. So we pulled that. This one got melted when it caught on fire a bit, and that melted. So we're going to pull this guy off next. And then pull off the tin around, this front tin around here. There's a bunch of screws that hold this tin on, so we'll be pulling those off and pulling that tin out, and then we should be ready to take the engine out. Here's the 3 pieces of rear engine tin removed. So now you got lots of nice space for the engine to come back off of the transmission as it comes out. I am going to pull the tranny, but I'm not going to pull them as a unit because I only got me. So I want them separated as soon as possible so I can move it around. So the only thing that's left for engine removal, I believe, at this point, is the 3 bolts that bolt the transmission to the engine. So one of them is up here, just like the one for the starter. It's inside the engine bay here, and then there's another one on the other side that I'll show in a little bit when we get to taking that one out. So I'm going to take this 17, that's a 17 there, take that 17 nut off, and that should do that one, and then we'll pull out the bolt on the underside that bolts the transmission to the bell housing, and then we should be able to pull the engine hanger bolts, which are these guys here. You can see on this one, they ran the ground for the fridge out here to the engine carrier. I really don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but they did. So that's what I did. And then there's, on the other side, there's similarly 2 bolts on this side, on this side engine carrier. You just pull those and she should drop down, and it's the magic of wiggling her back and down at the same time. All right, so we got the top 2 out. Now we're gonna take the bottom 2 out. There's one here on the transmission. There's one over here on the other side of the transmission. And I think we're ready to support the engine and drop it. All right, now I'm ready to support the engine. I got my nice block here. I drilled a hole to clearance where the oil drain plug is so that I won't have the pressure of the engine on the oil drain plug. Instead, it'll ride on this point, that point, and the point at the back on the carrier. I don't know if that's right, but we're gonna run with it. So I'm gonna support the engine a little bit, and then we'll remove the 13 millimeters that hold the engine carrier on, and we'll see if we can shimmy her out. I'm told that this takes patience and practice. All right, so I got it wiggled back a little bit, and as you can see, it's coming apart. Engine and tranny are coming apart here. You can see it's not quite clear yet, but it's a little bit back. And here you can see I still got a little bit of space to work with. Over here, this engine tin is just below the side engine tin, so that's a pretty good indicator. I have a light, so you can see that. Let me throw my light. So you can see this engine tin is just barely below, just a little bit below, not just barely, but just a little bit below. And the other issue, of course, is the oil filler neck here, which has to clearance. And I have that just a little bit high, so Ratwell says you got to play games here, and I'm going to go play some games. See if we can get this bad boy out. Almost there, almost there. All right, I got it pulled a little bit further back, and I don't know if you guys can see it real clear, but right there in the middle of your screen, there's a little pool of oil in the bell housing, which means the main seal on this has been leaking, and that's probably the major source of oil leaks on this engine. So, gotta come out to fix that, so might as well do a rebuild while we got it out. All right, so just a little bit further down, a little bit further back, and we should be good to go. There's the engine. I have to say, Ratwell's 100% right. Having this jack made it quite easy to get the engine out. So there she is. There's my engine. All right, today is the morrow, and we are here. I've put the jack under here in the front so that I can try to shimmy it forward off the dolly, off the engine hoist. But first we're going to strap it down so it doesn't come off the pallet as we drop the pallet over on that side. So we got these nice little hooks that we're going to screw to the pallet, and some ratcheting straps here that we're going to get on. Or I might use these orange ones over here that I used to lift the engine. Got some more for the tranny. It's coming later. And we're going to do our best here to strap her down and then get her lifted onto the ground in preparation for the truck coming with the lift and putting that on the truck. And we're going to box up all the bits here. Got us a big box to put all the tinny bits and everything in, and we're going to strap that here in front of the engine. Call it good. Should be good. Thanks. 1, 2, 3, 4 tie downs. I aimed them for the cross posts so the pressure's in the right place. Ratchet that first strap down and put on the second strap, going crosswise, give it a little angular stability. So going from this point up and over again to the other side. Like so. Just being careful here not to press down on anything that's shouldn't really get pressed down on, like the throttle spring, throttle return spring. We'll probably will replace that. So Pull this guy tight. Contact. Oakley dokley. All set. Alright, so I boxed up the parts and I also used the box top from the AV motorcycle lift sitting right here to cover the top of the engine, try to protect that from damage. I'm also going to put some cardboard over here on the side before I shrink wrap the whole thing to protect the oil filler neck there along the back the best I can. Try to get that not bent over to through the shipping to the engine builder, and there she is. So I'm going to put some more cleats here and crisscross strap that box down, and then we'll try to get her on the ground. Yay! Thanks for watching the Peach Project with me today. I sure enjoy what I'm doing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm very excited for the engine rebuild, and I'll be sure to be posting episodes about getting that up and running when it comes back.